a grain currently available in Mexican markets, once underpinned an empire. It sustained 20 million individuals. Priests molded it into divine effigies. Warriors before battle consumed it, convinced it imparted supernatural vigor. Yet in 1519, the Spanish monarchy criminalized its cultivation, making it punishable by death. They incinerated every field they discovered and maimed farmers caught tending it. For half a century, possessing a solitary seed could lead to execution. This is amaranth. The fate of this plant illuminates what transpires when a staple food threatens the authority of conquerors. Welcome to Secrets Beneath Nature. If narratives such as this resonate with you, please subscribe and activate the notification bell. Leave a comment indicating whether you have encountered amaranth growing or tasted alegría candy in Mexico. Every interaction helps more people uncover what has been concealed in plain sight. Imagine the island metropolis of Tenochtitlan in the year 1500. 200,000 people resided on an architectural marvel emerging from Lake Texcoco. Floating gardens, known as chinampas, extended across the water. Farmers cultivated rows of corn, beans, chia, and a leafy plant adorned with brilliant red and gold flower heads. They referred to it as huautli. We know it as amaranth. It constituted the second most vital crop of the Aztec Empire. Each year, tributary states delivered 20,000 tons of amaranth grain to the capital as a levy. The minuscule seeds, smaller than sesame, flowed into the city like streams of gold. Strolling through the markets of Tenochtitlan, one would observe vendors selling amaranth flour. Mothers purchased seeds to grind into porridge for their offspring. Warriors bought pouches of the grain to carry into combat. The Aztecs lacked terms like protein or amino acid, but they understood that amaranth fortified their bodies in ways corn alone could not. Modern science would require 5 centuries to elucidate why. Now, picture the month of Panquetzalistli, roughly December in our calendar, the festival of the raising of the banners. Young women dedicated to temple service convened in sacred spaces throughout the city. They toasted amaranth seeds until they expanded like minuscule popcorn. They ground the puffed grains and combined them with dark honey from maguey plants. This mixture became a dough called zoali. In their hands, this dough was transformed into something extraordinary. Life-sized representations of Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird deity of the sun and warfare. These effigies were adorned with genuine feathers and precious stones. Priests painted their faces and paraded them through the streets as drums boomed and conch shells wailed. At the temple, the ritual culminated. Priests dismembered the figures and distributed portions of the god to the gathered faithful. The people consumed the flesh of Huitzilopochtli, imbibing his strength, vowing to serve him for a full year. This ceremony recurred throughout the Aztec calendar for various deities, such as Chicomecoatl, goddess of sustenance, and Tlaloc, god of rain. Amaranth connected the populace to the divine. Then, the Spanish arrived. November 8th, 1519. Hernán Cortés and his conquistadors entered Tenochtitlan for the first time. Emperor Moctezuma welcomed them as guests. The Spanish described the city as the most magnificent they had ever witnessed. They noted the gardens, the palaces, the temple pyramids. They also observed the religious ceremonies. They watched priests prepare zoali. They saw the faithful consume the bodies of their gods. The Spanish were Catholic. They recognized what they were witnessing. This resembled their own Eucharist, the bread that becomes the body of Christ, the wine that becomes his blood. But this was not Holy Communion. This was something entirely different. This was demonic mimicry, the devil instructing pagans to corrupt sacred rites. May 15th, 1520. Cortés departed Tenochtitlan to confront rivals on the coast. He left Pedro de Alvarado in command. The Aztecs began preparations for the festival of Toxcatl, Priests fashioned zoali figures, while Spanish soldiers observed. Nobles gathered in the temple courtyard, clad in their finest attire and gold jewelry. They commenced dancing and singing. Alvarado and his men attacked. They massacred hundreds of unarmed celebrants. Some historians posit they sought to halt human sacrifice. Others contend they desired the gold. The Florentine Codex, penned by Aztec survivors, labels it treachery. The ensuing war would dismantle an empire. After the conquest, the Catholic Church made a decree. Amaranth had to vanish, not because of its nutritional value, but because of its significance. The grain that linked people to their deities had to be excised from their lives. Colonial edicts outlawed amaranth cultivation. Spanish soldiers incinerated fields from the Valley of Mexico to the highlands of Oaxaca. Farmers discovered with seeds faced amputation. Possession became an offense punishable by death. Imagine being an Aztec farmer in 1530. You had cultivated Huautli your entire existence. Your mother cultivated it. Her mother cultivated it. Now soldiers rode through your village, searching for the red and gold flower heads. Your neighbor lost his hands last month. You uprooted your plants at night. You scattered the seeds in the mountains where no one would search. You instructed your children to forget the ancient name. If they had to speak of it, to call it something else. Call it bledo. Call it quilite. Conceal it in plain sight. For 400 years, amaranth persisted only in obscurity. Remote mountain villages in Oaxaca maintained small plots. Indigenous communities in Guatemala and Peru preserved the knowledge. The Spanish never located every seed. The plant, meaning immortal, refused to perish. Eventually, the colonial powers ceased their search. Amaranth transitioned into peasant food. It became alegrias, a confection sold at festivals. The name signifies joy. It was a subtle act of defiance. Then, something occurred in 1975. A laboratory at the University of São Paulo, Brazil, researchers were analyzing the protein content of underutilized crops. They examined amaranth seeds and double-checked their findings. The protein content registered between 14% and 18%, higher than wheat, higher than corn, higher than rice. However, protein quantity is meaningless without quality. They tested the amino acid composition. They made a remarkable discovery. Amaranth contains all 9 essential amino acids in balanced proportions. Lysine, the amino acid largely absent from virtually every other grain on Earth, registered at 5.2 to 6.1 grams per 100 grams of protein. Wheat contains 2.6 grams. Corn contains even less. For the first time, scientists comprehended why Aztec warriors believed amaranth imparted strength. This tiny seed provides complete protein, akin to eggs or beef, yet from a plant that matures in 3 months. The research disseminated through academic journals. In 1977, the National Academy of Sciences in the United States published a report identifying amaranth as a crop of the future. By the end of the decade, farmers in Pennsylvania and Nebraska were planting experimental fields. The forbidden grain returned to cultivation. 2023. A team of researchers published a comprehensive review in the journal Sustainable Food Proteins. Their conclusion was unequivocal. Amaranth protein has nutritional qualities comparable to that of meat, milk, and soy. The proportion of essential amino acids aligns with World Health Organization recommendations. The Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score, PDCAAS, the standard measure of protein quality, reached 0.64. Wheat scored 0.40. The Aztecs were correct. But protein is only part of the narrative. Picture a cosmetics laboratory in Tokyo. Technicians extracted oil from amaranth seeds using cold press methods. They measured the squalene content. It comprised 5% to 8% of the total oil. Squalene is a hydrocarbon that shields human skin from oxidation. For decades, the cosmetics industry procured squalene from shark livers. 1 million sharks are slaughtered annually to meet demand. Amaranth offers an alternative, a plant-based source of the same compound. No sharks required. Squalene does more than protect skin. Studies indicate it lowers cholesterol levels in the blood, prevents arterial plaque buildup, and possesses anti-inflammatory properties. Aztecs utilized amaranth medicinally, prescribing it for digestive issues and skin conditions. Modern chemistry validates that ancient practice. Now, consider climate change. Picture a wheat field in Kansas during a summer drought. The plants wilt, their leaves curl. Without irrigation, the crop fails. Global wheat production already exhibits stress from rising temperatures and erratic rainfall. The crops that nourish the world are vulnerable. Now picture an amaranth field in the same drought. The plants droop during the hottest hours, minimizing water loss through their leaves. As evening approaches, they revive. They continue photosynthesis. They continue growing. Amaranth employs a system called C4 photosynthesis, the same system used by corn and sugarcane. It enables the plant to capture carbon dioxide more efficiently and conserve water. Studies demonstrate amaranth uses 40% less water than crops like wheat and soybeans. Research published in 2024 designates amaranth a climate-resilient superfood. The plant thrives in drought conditions. It tolerates high heat. It grows in poor soil with low nitrogen. It even survives saline conditions that devastate other crops. The word amaranth originates from Greek. It signifies the one that does not wither. The name is not poetic. It is biological. Picture a conference room at NASA headquarters in Houston. Engineers and nutritionists discuss the Mars dilemma. A crewed mission to the red planet spans 2 to 3 years. Prepackaged food degrades over time. Vitamins degrade. Nutrients lose efficacy. Astronauts require fresh food. They need to cultivate it themselves. The requirements are stringent. Maximal nutrition in minimal space, rapid growth cycles, complete protein, and no gluten, as celiac disease in space presents medical emergencies with no nearby hospital. Fresa Barrera, a nutrition expert at Universidad Anáhuac in Mexico City, informed National Geographic that the World Health Organization endorses amaranth as a well-balanced food, and NASA recommends it for space missions. This grain, which colonizers sought to obliterate, is poised to assist humanity in settling other planets. The International Space Station already cultivates leafy greens in a chamber called veggie, where astronauts tend to lettuce, kale, and mustard. However, these crops supply essential vitamins, not protein. NASA researchers are now investigating pseudo-cereals like amaranth and quinoa as potential candidates for bioregenerative life support systems, which involve closed-loop agriculture where waste transforms into fertilizer and plants provide sustenance, oxygen, and psychological comfort. Matt Roma, a spacecraft crop production scientist at Kennedy Space Center, explains that all knowledge gained from the station and the moon will ultimately facilitate similar endeavors en route to Mars. Meanwhile, on Earth, amaranth is already transforming lives. Consider a farming cooperative in Zimbabwe's Binga district, where 47 women cultivate grain amaranth as part of a climate adaptation initiative. The region grapples with erratic rainfall and infertile soil, causing traditional crops to fail more often than not. Amaranth, however, thrives. It yields nutritious grain and edible leaves, both of which the women harvest. In the Slovak Republic, the Institute of Plant Genetics and Biotechnology has developed 2 novel amaranth varieties, christened Pribena and Zobor. These are the first amaranth varieties to receive legal protection across European Union member states. Lead researcher Monika Sabuva points out that amaranth resists numerous diseases and withstands drought, salinity, and high temperatures, making it a crucial alternative crop in the face of ongoing global warming. Stroll through a market in Oaxaca, Mexico, and today you'll discover alegría, bars of puffed amaranth bound with piloncillo. the unrefined cane sugar that replaced ancient Mayan honey. Some vendors mold the candy into skull shapes for Dia de Muertos. They often don't realize they are perpetuating a ritual that endured 5 centuries of suppression. The recipe is almost identical to what Aztec priests prepared for Huitzilopochtli. You can even cultivate amaranth in your own backyard. These plants can reach 6 feet in height with minimal care, producing both edible leaves and seeds. A single plant can yield thousands of seeds, ready for harvest in 3 to 4 months. No specialized equipment or pesticides are necessary. The same secondary compounds that offer health benefits also deter many insect pests. Amaranth thrives wherever it's planted, demanding almost nothing in return. Consider what this seed truly signifies: a complete protein comparable to meat, containing all 9 essential amino acids, the highest lysine content of any grain. It boasts squalene, which protects hearts and skin, and exhibits drought tolerance that defies climate change. Its growth cycle is suitable for any backyard. Amaranth is NASA's choice for nourishing humans on other planets, and it possesses a history of surviving the most systematic agricultural suppression ever attempted by a colonial power. Now, ask yourself why this was never taught in school. Question why quinoa sells for $8 per pound at Whole Foods, while amaranth remains overlooked in ethnic grocery stores. Ponder why the Food and Agriculture Organization deems it superior to traditional cereals, yet traditional cereals dominate every grocery aisle in every country on Earth. The answer has never been about nutrition, safety, or practicality. It has always been about power. Cortés and his priests realized 500 years ago that people who can feed themselves do not require conquerors. A crop that grows anywhere and provides everything poses a threat to those who profit from scarcity. What cannot be controlled must be destroyed. When destruction fails, it must be forgotten. Yet, forgetting is not permanent. The knowledge endures in Mexican markets, Oaxacan villages, and NASA research papers. The seeds persist in every climate zone, on every continent except Antarctica. They buried amaranth under layers of colonial violence and engineered obscurity, labeling it peasant food to discourage inquiry. They erased it from history so you wouldn't recognize the solution in a candy bar at a Day of the Dead celebration. The question is whether you still believe them. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to Secrets Beneath Nature and hit the bell. Every like and share helps dismantle the programming that keeps survival foods hidden. The seeds are still here. The knowledge survives.